Hello and welcome to From Pixels to Profit, an entrepreneurial webinar series. And in this episode, we'll be discussing the video game Stardew Valley and its creator Eric Barone, who also goes as the online name Concerned Ape. Today we'll explore how one person built a globally successful indie game from scratch, and the challenges he faced, and the strategies he used to grow, scale, and innovate. We'll also draw some practical lessons for small business owners and entrepreneurs, learning about persistence, risk management, customer engagement, and strategic growth. And by the end of this episode, you'll see how Barone's journey can inspire and inform your own entrepreneurial venture. Spring is all about new beginnings, and for Eric, it started in Auburn, Washington, where he cultivated an early love for video games, art, and music. Eric was inspired by his technical father and an artistic mother, but he learned programming, pixel art, and music composition solely on his own. In 2012, inspired by Harvest Moon, his childhood favorite video game, he initially created Stardew Valley as a side project to practice his programming skills while searching for a job after college. The complexity of the farm game quickly grew as he added new features like cooking, fishing, exploring caves, town residents, and multiplayer. The challenge was that he worked entirely alone for over 4 years, often clocking more than 12 hours a day. And without a team, a publisher, or a steady income, he had to be his own programmer, artist, composer, marketer, and tester. So as you can imagine, this was an exhausting routine for him, fueled purely by his belief in the project. It was a real test of his endurance, and it pushed him to perfectionism. And what I believe we can learn from this is the strategy he used, where he mitigated risk by breaking the project up into small, manageable goals, and through the use of constantly iterating his coding, art, and music. Despite these challenges, he had a clear objective and was able to follow through on his project. A lesson for entrepreneurs that you can take away from this is that starting a business often requires wearing multiple hats and is necessary to teach yourself new skills and to break large projects down into small, achievable milestones. This can help to reduce the risk and maintain progress. Or his dedication to make incremental improvements, which turned his single idea into a marketable franchise. Now, summer represents growth, so let's discuss the release of Stardew Valley on Steam. On February 26, 2016, Eric also founded Concerned Ape LLC, his company, and registered for the trademark of Stardew Valley in the same year, which marked the beginning of his entrepreneurial journey. Stardew Valley had exploded with unexpected popularity, where he initially felt that the game was just not good enough even days before its release, despite it eventually becoming a massive critical success. It seemed that his harsh self-criticism stemmed from the intense 4.5 years that he spent developing it alone. And luckily he was wrong, with the current total sales for Stardew Valley at 41 million copies, grossing over $518 million, and with the creator's current net worth estimated at $52 million. So the challenge here was that launching solo meant that he had to balance quality, deadlines, and player expectations without a team to share the workload. And the way he overcame that was by building a direct pathway to customers, constantly updating his blog post forums, and getting feedback. Throughout the development of the game, he was constantly taking player feedback and putting it into the game. This way, he's created a loyal and active community even 10 years later. So essentially, the lessons for entrepreneurs we can take away here is that we can engage with customers early and often in the development of our product, and that product quality matters. Through small improvements and attention to detail, you can make your product stand out to consumers, where even in solo indie video game operations, one person can create a product that can scale exponentially. Let's discuss fall in the likeness of the expansion of his video game, where Stardew Valley grew beyond just the original PC release, because now the video game is also available on Nintendo Switch, the Sony PlayStation, Microsoft's Xbox, and mobile for iOS and Android. His work has even inspired multiple adaptations, such as the 2025 Symphony of Seasons tour, which is featuring a 35-piece orchestra. There's also the Festival of Seasons, an 11-piece chambered orchestra. He has also collaborated over 2 years to create a board game with designer Cole Medeiros based on the video game. Another opportunity that he's had is to cross over with other video game franchises, most notably the popular indie game franchise Terraria. The challenge of expanding a product always carries a risk, with developing the game that was made for PC to a new platform would require testing, updating, and a new adaptation. The strategy that Eric used was that he kept it simple. He did what already worked for him. He stuck to simple core game mechanics that the community wanted, while he carefully expanded into new markets with a board game and an orchestra. So the lesson for entrepreneurs here is that growth should be strategic and not rapid, and that you should focus on your strengths while trying to diversify into a new market. Because expanding your product doesn't have to compromise its quality. You can scale thoughtfully and strengthen your brand's consumer trust. And entrepreneurs should consider a creative way to extend your product into a new experience, whether it be a new physical, digital, or experiential medium. I believe winter can represent reflection and forward planning. And in that light, Eric is now looking ahead with the development of his new intellectual property, Haunted Chocolatier. So to quote Eric about his new title, in Stardew Valley, the focus was more humble, living off the land, growing food, and connecting with the people and nature around you. However, with my next game, Haunted Chocolatier, I wanted to explore more fantastical possibilities, experiences that take you beyond the ordinary. And that's where the idea of magical haunted ghost chocolate comes in. At its core, the gameplay loop involves gathering ingredients, making chocolate, and running a chocolate shop. And alongside this new project, he's still continuously supporting Stardew Valley with new content updates that brings players back and also keeps the current customers engaged. Now the key challenge here is to continuously support Stardew Valley, balancing the time and energy and the expectations of those customers while developing the new title, Haunted Chocolatier. So the strategic lesson for entrepreneurs to take away is to not abandon your current customers while creating a new product, and to maintain the support and engagement. And similar to creating a new board game and an orchestra, creating a new video game title helps extend the current lifespan of Stardew Valley. And planning for another critically acclaimed success is difficult when you've already got another one to handle. It was Eric Barone's journey that took him from a solo developer to a multi-platform and culturally impactful creator. This entrepreneur demonstrates persistence, strategic thinking, risk management, and a focus on his customers. For students and entrepreneurs, his story is a masterclass in 4 principles, where he can break large projects into manageable goals, engage with the community, scale strategically and diversify your offerings while balancing the current operations, and innovate. Now we will move into our Q&A segment of From Pixels to Profit, where I'll share questions from the community along with the creator Eric Barone's answers.
Kind of just a pipe dream project, something. I didn't have huge ambitious ideas for it. I was like, I'm just going to make a little game. It's based on a kind of a game that I loved as a kid, Harvest Moon. I just want to, create my own world that's similar to that. And at first it's very fun when you first start working on a new game. It's all fresh. You're seeing things come together really quick. Then you enter the kind of like grind of adding in all the content and polishing everything, and it can get a little bit not as fun when you're doing that. But it's like, I started off kind of having no ambitions. My ambitions for the games like kind of grew over time as my skills improved, as the game started to come together. And I started to feel like, maybe this could actually be something. I still didn't think it was going to be super popular. I thought it would be maybe a niche game for Harvest Moon lovers. And I even thought a lot of them would probably hate it because they'd be like, this isn't as good as my favorite Harvest Moon game, But so then that slowly like ramped up. The game came out. Okay, here's another thing. When I was making the game, there was many times where I thought this game's awful. Like, it's not fun. Like, is this even, no one's going to like this, But the truth is, I'm always very hard on myself. I'm like my own toughest critic in a huge way. But it's just that mindset I think helps me always struggle to do better. I always need to make the game better. I always need to improve my skills. Then the game came out and it was like, it blew up pretty quickly. And that was definitely a strange time. It was kind of it took me a while to get used to the fact that suddenly, there's this game I made is actually popular. Like people are playing it, people love it. It's yeah, millions of people. Quickly, it was selling millions of copies, and it had 98% positive on Steam and all this stuff. And I mean, it's just like it was surreal for a long time. It was completely surreal. But I didn't have too much time to think about it because I had to fix bugs. I had more content updates that I wanted to do. It's like, okay, I have this huge audience now. I need to keep it going. I can't just like, I'm not going to just, go live in the Bahamas or something. Like I have serious work to do now. At this point now, almost 10 years after release, it's definitely simmered down a bit. I've gotten used to this new reality. It's at the end of the day, I'm still the same guy that just kind of sits on the computer almost all the time working. That's just what I like to do.
Thank you so very much for watching this episode of From Pixels to Profit featuring Stardew Valley's Eric Barone. And I hope you leave inspired and apply these lessons in your own entrepreneurial venture.